All right, so today we are going to finally do our podcast episode. We accidentally ended up skipping HuoHuo, so my bad. And it was just a bunch of stuff happening at the same time. Either schedules weren't lining up, Genshin concert happened in the midst of that. All of stuff is just everywhere. But today we're going to be talking about HuoHuo and also about Argenti and a couple of other topics today regarding 1.5 because this will just end up being a 1.5 patch podcast just because we didn't get to cover HuoHuo in the first half. Of course, today we have Destiny, Ioku, and also Mr. Pokey in the podcast. No guest stars for today, so just the regular four that usually would be here. So today we're gonna go ahead and talk about HuoHuo, but real quick, remember, let's give raise to Honkai Star Rail because we did end up getting a free multi for winning the best mobile game award at the Game Awards. So that's fun fire stuff. Hopefully someone gets Argenti if they want it. If not, hopefully get Ruin May. But let's go ahead and start talking about HuoHuo because I feel like HuoHo's honeymoon phase is over. And I want to see how people are either using her, not using her, how they feel about her ever since. It's been some time that she's been out. I think it's been a good enough time to see where realistically where she lands between a lot of the healers in the game, a lot of the sustains in the game at the current moment. So, Mr. Pokey, do you want to talk about HuoHo and do you still use her? How good is she in terms of your opinion, all that type of stuff?
Yeah. I'm still using her sometime, but to be honest, it's really just for like the testing. I don't think any normal players that just want to go ahead and clear MOC would ever find themselves needing HuoHuo compared to like other sustain, such as like your Fusion and Luocha, all this kind of stuff. Because in my opinion, I think HuoHuo is pretty much like a harmony support that provides you heals rather than like a sustain unit that gives you buffs. So in that sense, her main use, like her whole unique selling point, is the fact that you can get a shit ton of energy for an entire team. And right now, there's no content where we are lacking damage in that sense. So it's not like we really need all our buffs to line up. We need like as much damage as possible from our DPS to clear the stage. And players definitely can run their teams without HuoHuo. So because of that, I think if players don't want to use HuoHuo, I think it's completely fine. But I must say that HuoHuo have some really, really nice synergies, especially with like Ting Yun. Both of them together just like a
Yes,
massive, massive energy
sir.
battery. So yeah, like one example being Jing Liu's comp, right? If you run Ting Yun with HuoHuo and Jing Liu, she essentially stays in her spectral transmigration state for like super, super long, to the point where like she's pretty much in it the entire time until like whatever she's facing against just dies. So yeah, really, really fun combos, and you can only do this with HuoHuo. So yeah.
Yeah, HuoHo by far, in my honest opinion, I think she opens up a lot of like fun teams that you can make, especially because she acts as both the support and the sustain at the same time. And we're gonna get into something that you kind of mentioned in your statement where you said right now we don't have like we're not hitting a damage ceiling where we have to make sure everything is like buffed up and all that type of stuff because we are gonna talk about the MOC changes that they did do because that has been a topic that
Oh,
a lot of
huge.
people have talked
Yeah.
about in regards to the difficulty increase that they decide to do out of nowhere. So we're definitely going to talk about that, and of course the upcoming floors that I'm very excited to be looking over. But EO, what is your opinion on HuoHuo at the current moment? Do you still use her? Do you think she's necessary? How do you think she fares against the other sustains in the game?
I use her all the time. Mostly with, as you guys mentioned, teams that I want to buff up with energy. So in like the Jing Liu case, which I guess I use her a lot with Jing Liu now, especially if I'm pairing it with Blade, then I just kind of run amok instead of using Fushun or Luocha. But I mean, you know me, I just don't like Luocha. So that's one problem in itself. But I do enjoy her on like Kafka teams a little more than other characters. Now, if I'm running like crit, so if I did a Kritka, or if I'm doing something with Topaz, I like Fu Xuan there, Topaz and Jing Yuan, or Ting Yun, Jing Yuan, things like that. Then, or not Topaz, my bad, Fu Xuan. I like Fu Xuan on those teams because of the crit bonus, the damage bonus, things like that. But anything else that I use, especially with my dot teams or Jing Liu in that case, even Zila, I found myself using HuoHuo a lot more. Now, granted, Zila doesn't really need it. I just like having big ass numbers on
True.
things when Zila hits it. But other than that, yeah, like for me, HuoHuo replaced Luocha. But again, I just really don't like Luocha. So
Skill issue.
yeah, it's not even a skill issue. It's not even a skill issue, man. It's just like I think that I prefer the way her kit works a little better
hmm
than Loaches, and it could just be the build that I have. I know the power of his build, like how much he can heal, but then it's just he becomes just healing, because his ultimate is the only thing that can strip away buffs. But the game is warped to a way where, and I don't like it, but I don't dislike it. So I guess I'm kind of neutral about it. The enemies in the game, especially the elites, have either A, unremovable buffs now, or B, they can buff themselves with a bunch of stupid mini buffs so that whenever you do use Locha's ultimate, it doesn't strip the buff that you want away from them. It strips some bullshit. Like, oh yeah, here's he has 50% attack, but then on top of the 50% attack, he has +2 speed. So then it'll remove the +2 speed. And I'm like, bro, take the attack away so I don't die to the next hit. What are you doing? And it becomes really annoying.
Obviously, that no, that 100% for sure. With it's kind of weird when it comes to cleansing or taking away buffs from enemies and yourself. Those small little things taking up that cleanse is so annoying. I kind of wish there was like a prioritization, because why are you gonna take away my -2% attack debuff when I'm still imprisoned? Why are you choosing to take that off? I can't move now because you decided to clean that off. I hate that so much. If they did some type of prioritization, that would be cool, but I don't think they're ever gonna do that, in all
They said,
honesty.
do you really need to move?
Destiny, HuoHuo, do you think she is still good? Do you still use her? All that type of stuff.
When it comes to HuoHuo, hold on. Okay, I thought I
Oh
had to
no.
sneeze. It's
Oh,
gone now.
I thought she was gonna do it.
No, no. When it comes to her, I use her all the time. I actually have two main teams I use. For this MOC in particular, I use these two teams for basically every floor. And it was my Jing Liu team with
Hmm.
Tingyun and HuoHuo, since she stays in her form for so long. And then the other team was just my Zila, like Fushun team. But I use HuoHuo all the time. Like, I mainly use her and Fushun at this point, because the energy, I feel like, depending on what team you're using her on, is super valuable. Like, especially on like the Jing Liu team, I love using HuoHuo. The only problem I have with her, though, which I will say is, I guess, a con of her, is that if there's a bunch of enemies that attack like in a row and you don't have any way like to heal, you're just like, I just got obliterated. Like, we're done. So that's the only thing I don't personally like about her, and what I probably like a little more about Fushun is because, like, Fushun's, in my opinion, her survivability for the team is a little better. But that's just from my experiences. But the energy is just really valuable for like a lot of teams, and I feel like it's going to be probably really valuable in the future too, depending on what characters we get and what they do, and just like their energy costs and stuff.
Wh-
Yeah.
with that, with you saying that, we already kind of see it, to be honest, because I don't know if most people have both 5 stars, but both of the 5 stars of 1.5, HuoHuo and Argenti, like getting that extra energy you get from HuoHuo makes it so much easier for Argenti to just spam his ultimate, especially if we do the
Yeah.
same combo like with Tingyun and HuoHuo. You just get it infinitely, and with how hard Argenti hits, the time it takes for you to build up your ultimate takes literally 0 time with those two characters. So we're kind of already seeing it with HuoHuo, where how she's already impacting future units. I do think as well that as soon as we start getting even more units, we're probably going to see HuoHuo shine a little bit more. But I want an opinion on this take just really quickly, because I know a certain someone in here like has this healer up to like SZ tier plus Nitro or whatever. But do we think that Luocha's slightly falling off compared to a lot of the sustains that we have right now, especially pinpointing onto Fushwin, giving, max HP buff, giving a crit rate buff, giving us a cleanse, giving us healing. And then we have HuoHuo, who's giving us attack percent, who's giving us cleansing as well, who's giving us energy. I feel like at this point in the game, especially with a lot of us building our supports up very fast and a lot of them not really needing to use skills or need to use skill points at all, they're basically always regenerating it. And we also got the addition of Hanya as well, being even more of a skill point generator with how insane her skill works and how you can build her speedy, and then she could do a fat ton of stuff with regenerating skill points. I feel like Luocha's use of not needing to use skill points is kind of diminishing. But do y'all think he's still up there, or do you think Fushwin and Ho are kind of setting a new precedent?
And I go first.
Go ahead.
I think the short answer is the moment another character releases that just so happens to have healing, Locha goes down to where Bailu is. like maybe like right above Bailu, but he's definitely gonna be around that ballpark.
Oof, above Bailu.
Yeah. So like, okay, like if we had a lettering system, and so let's say that who's in S tier now? Bailu or not Bailu? Luocha, Fushun,
Oh.
I guess HuoHuo. I don't know. And
Mhm.
then Bailu is in what, like A minus, maybe B plus, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
Uh, Wherever she is, Luocha is gonna go to where she is in the same tier, or he's gonna go like one tier above her, or half a tier above her, or something like that. And the reason that I say that is because Luocha doesn't have anything else in his kit besides heal my team without necessarily needing to use skill points. And
Mhm.
so as beneficial as that is, with how we're moving into, especially with like what we see in MOC currently, they beefed up MOC. It's not like by a significant amount to where like, oh man, I'm crying. But if you don't pay attention or if you're bullshitting it, there's no more zero cycles. Like it took me, I think, 10 to go through MOC 10 with kind of like a like, oh, I'm just gonna use one of the teams that I normally use because they kind of blitz through everything. It took me 10 cycles to get through that. And I'm like, all right, that never happened. So I had to redo it, but it made me pay attention to what the fuck was going on. And with 11 and 12 coming out, even on top of that, I've been watching streamers, I've been watching other people try and do the challenges. Hypercarry is falling off. I called this like 2 or 3 patches ago. Hypercarry is great for weaker mobs. If it's something that you know you can blitz through, cool. Run hypercarry, clear it really fast. But MOC now, MOC in the future, possibly the pure fiction mode, all of these things are leaning towards you need more damage. Whether that be 2 damage dealers, whether that be building a sub DPS that does a significant amount of damage, or like a supporter that does a significant amount of damage, something has to give. Luocha not being able to do anything besides heal the team. And again, just it's 50-50 on whether or not using skill points. It could be a skill issue, but some at some point in time you have to click that skill because it's too, if you don't have a fast enough Luocha, you're never gonna get to that point where he's gonna keep redoing it. And if you have too fast, he runs out, right? The fill goes away. If he's too slow, then he never gets his reset on it because it's like every 2 things or whatever, something like that. So it's a little conundrum with Luocha that you have to make him like the perfect build, right? Like you got to speed to him exactly right. Him not having anything else in his kit, no buffs, no damage percent, no like, oh, when I use my ultimate, I strip the buff away. If I successfully strip a buff away, they have like a 25% defense reduction.
Oh, wait, that's
Anything
kind
like
of
that.
heat. Wait a
You know what I'm saying? Like
minute.
anything that would make his kit stronger by helping the team do more damage, he doesn't have it. HuoHuo has healing. She has passive healing with her talent. She also has the attack and speed buff, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, or energy, something like that.
Mhm.
The attack and energy that she gives back to the team, um, which is fine, right? Like she doesn't need to do a shit ton of damage. Her ult doesn't need to do damage because it supports the team, and she's just there to heal, which is cool. Fu Xuan, we don't have to talk about Fu Xuan. Fu Xuan is like literally like she ruined the meta. But as much as I love her, you know that they gave her way too much. So
Facts.
Fu
No,
Xuan is
that's
up
facts
there.
though.
They're gonna release another Fu Xuan, right? Like boom, there's another Fu Xuan, and she just happens to be on the abundance path instead of the preservation path. That bumps Luocha down. Like if another character comes out, and that's why I said if another character comes out that just happens to heal and they also do anything else that's beneficial to the team or that current form of the meta, Luocha gets bumped down because he's no longer competing with the game. He's
Mhm.
competing with what does this other healer provide for my account or for my team, and how do they benefit me to progress in the harder forms of content. And so it's not like I'm saying Loach is like dog shit, right? Like I'm not saying that he's the worst character in the game or anything like that, or the worst healer now. It's just that with more healers coming out, uh, not even healers, more especially 2.0 with these characters coming out, they're all like beefed up. We've seen some things about 1.6. We have 1.5 right now. 1.5 was like the last safe patch. Argenti is let me clarify before I say he's mid. He is in the middle. He's fine. He's balanced. He's not too strong and he's definitely not weak. So he's just in the middle, right? There's nothing that stands out about Argenti that makes him uh renowned. We are in the last safe patch. 1.6 comes out, something stupid's gonna happen unless they nerf like all these characters. Uh we just saw what Archaon and Black Swan. I
Mhm.
think we're jumping right into 2.0. I don't know if we talked about that in the last podcast, but I mentioned that we're going from 1.6 jumping right into 2.0. Because that's just kind of how they do it, right? Genshin went up to 1.8 or something like that, then they jumped to the next patch.
I think it was
So
1.6 into 2.0 as well in Genshin, if I'm not
okay,
wrong.
yeah. So then it's just a pattern. They're gonna jump into two. They jump into 2.0. We already see they're changing or adding to MOC and the more difficult content. And this is just the first year. We're getting towards the first year anniversary. 2.0 is going to drop. I wouldn't be surprised if we got even more difficult content or events or modes or anything like that that catered to having multiple characters, multiple units, that multifunctional units. All these characters are going to be doing something else besides whatever their path says. Oh yeah, I'm a hunt path. Okay, yeah, but you also buff your partner. Or
Yep.
like you're a hunt path, but you're linked to harmony characters. So anytime that your harmony character heals, you get a buff. Like stupid crap like that is gonna start to happen in the game. Locha can't keep up.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking, to be honest, with all the characters that are coming out right now. Are you finished with your take?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Destiny, what you think about Luocha, and like if him versus the new sustains like HuoHuo and Fushwin, how does he stand up? You think he's still worth it? You think he's still good? What do you think about it?
I'm thinking about that. I think he's still really good in my opinion. Like I still use him from time to time, so I don't think he's inherently like a bad character or anything. But I think it just depends like kind of like what you was saying, like how the content progresses from now because if it does get harder, then it might be more difficult to keep up. But me personally, I do value his like Abyss Flower Field quite a lot because there are moments where I felt like that field was really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
So even like let's say you do have the Blade team and Blade gets his follow up. Well, now we all get healed. I don't know if anyone here has used Clara and Luocha, but
Oh no, it's
that
busted.
team is
Yeah,
like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's a
you
really good
just
busted.
team.
I used that team when they first came out. I was using Clara, Yukong, and Luocha, and I think Silverwolf. That team is really, really strong. Like I almost never lost with that team because of the sustainability, because of how Clara is. So Clara, I guess, I think it just depends on who you are using the healer with. Because in a case like Blade or Clara, I feel like Luocha actually pairs possibly the best with them. Like I don't like Fushwin and Clara's okay, but I personally still prefer the Abyss field because
Mm-hmm.
I just keep healing nonstop. HuoHuo isn't bad. I've used that, but I would still probably pick Luocha on a Clara specific team just because of how it operates. So I do think like I don't know if people really value that field anymore, but I definitely do. And I do wish he had more, I guess, like if there were possible buffing capabilities, but I mean, I will say his E1 does give you attack. It
There's
gives
no
you
way you
attack.
just said
Cope,
his
cope,
E1.
cope, cope.
If you spend some money, you'll get what you
If you
want.
pull on his rerun, like okay,
True.
okay, as someone who accidentally got E1, I kind of just have to deal with it. So I'm just like, I do get that attack. So it exists. It's just it's in his kit. I think his Eidolons are actually really good if I remember correctly.
Nah,
But
he probably does.
regardless,
He probably does have like some of the best Eidolons in the game. Like he completely turns into every path in the dang game with his Eidolons.
I still think he's really good. It just depends on the characters. I feel like that's all it really comes down to. Now, if I guess you build him very poorly then and your abyss field just doesn't heal, then at that point it comes down to a building issue. Because I mean I
Building
didn't even
issue.
have a really good Locha for a very long time, but even then he was still doing decently. But I don't know, it just depends. I don't know if I'd actually recommend him too much for a rerun though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would genuinely have to ask yourself, okay, who do I have that would actually pair better, like best with him? Because I feel like let's say you have Zila, I feel like Fu Xuan and Zila is just so good.
Yeah, got to
And
very good.
even you could even do HuoHuo, but I personally love the Zila Fu Xuan team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of the healers and preservation class characters just have someone that they pair very nicely with. I think that's all it comes down to. But if for whatever reason, the game like we take so much damage that we just can't keep up anymore, then I think at that point we're gonna get a new generation of healers and abundance characters. That wait, I just said the same thing twice. Healers and preservation class characters as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know when we're actually getting the next one now that I think about it, because none of them there don't seem to be any that are drip marketed, unless they're drip marketing next week, and there are some, but part of
Well,
me feels like that's not gonna happen.
we just got HuoHuo, so I think it'll be a minute,
I
maybe.
think, yeah, there's gonna be a gap.
Maybe,
So
I don't know. They like to spam certain roles from time to time, but we'll see about that. But I do like, because I do, we all already said it when she said it herself. With Clara, for as a big, I think her mainly, like you're just gonna full heal as soon as the turn starts because the enemy's gonna keep hitting you. Clara's gonna do her follow up, and then the field just keeps spam healing. I think maybe in those situations for certain characters that are hitting like a billion times in one go, maybe Luocha still has value there. But let's go ahead and see what Pokey thinks about it in regards to Luocha versus a lot of these other sustainers that are coming out like HuoHuo and Fushun or whoever else might come out with more capabilities than just healing.
Full transparency, the only times I actually use Luocha is when I can't be bothered and I just want to like full auto clear MOC and just slap him on with like your normal support and DPS. Pretty much never fails. He's just really good on full auto. But for the most part, I think what a lot of things that have been said have already been said. If they were to keep ramping up the difficulty, the only value that Luocha really provides to the table is basically healing for a shit ton while providing ample skill points to your team. But right now, you really see Hanya is going to be providing a lot of skill points, and who knows what kind of support we're going to release in the future. So the niche of being very skill point positive is just going to slowly erode away. Yeah, as far as sustains go, if there's ever going to be power creep, Luocha is probably coming, not say super fast. I think he's still really good compared to the rest of the sustains like Bailu or even like Japar to a certain extent. But compared to other limited sustains like Fushun and I guess HuoHuo, then Luocha's value doesn't really hold that well. But it really depends on the directions MiHoYo is going, right? Because if MiHoYo wants to go to a direction where, okay, yeah, we're gonna really increase the amount of damage that the mobs are gonna do, then perhaps HuoHuo might be a little bit difficult in terms of sustaining the team because you need to use your skill every single turn. But if MiHoYo was to go with content like, okay, you need to deal as much damage as humanly possible, then sustains like HuoHuo can give a little bit more value in the game. So I'm not exactly sure whether Luocha will be like super future proof because it's really dependent on content. Before this patch, everybody was like, oh my god, we're never gonna see Erudition see the light of day because this unit is so really good. And then suddenly now MOC they released the four unit wave, which is, I mean, it's still not too bad, but it's like just really uncomfortable. So it's just a matter of time before anytime MiHoYo wants to release a content where they can change a unit's viability, then we have to evaluate from there. So yeah.
Definitely with HuoHuo coming out, like I sadly to say, because I love Luocha, I love him as a character just because he's an export from Honkai Impact, so of course. But I sadly, even though how much I hold him in high praise, I just don't use him anymore either. I really just spam Fushun because I think Fushun is literally god tier in terms of sustain. If you would somehow die with Fushun on the team, I'm just gonna have to say that's skill issue, man. I'm like, there's no way you died with someone who can heal, damage reduction, cleanse, all this stuff. There's just no way. Fushun is literally god tier, so that's that. And then HuoHuo, in my honest opinion, her offensive capability with giving attack percent, with giving energy to some of these characters who should not be spamming ultimates, like Imbibitor Lune, like Jing, like Argenti. These characters being able to spam ultimates by far is like, you're eviscerating enemies nonstop. And especially if you have something like, I want to see how this is. I don't think I've ever seen gameplay of it. But Pokey, have you tried E2 Imbibitor with HuoHuo and Tingyun?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just like I couldn't even, honestly, I can't even test their full extent because they die too fast. Like they should have died too fast. So like I can't even like enjoy it. But yeah, maybe I probably get to testing when MOC 12 comes out, but MOC 10 is way too busted. Yeah.
I wonder how that's gonna be with pure fiction.
Big fiction.
I wonder how it's gonna be with pure fiction, where it's like, what didn't they say the mode is gonna be like? They're just gonna throw monsters at you nonstop until a certain amount of turns pass.
I think so.
How would E2 Imbibitor with HuoHuo Tingyun be? Because he gets that infinite like go again if he keeps getting his ultimate. Oh my god, that's gonna be like by far most busted like combos possibly. But yeah, I just, sadly to say, in my honest opinion, Luocha, like Destiny said, if there was a rerun, I'm not sure if I would 100% go and say that Luocha should be like summoned on again. I do think in certain situations, again, with what Destiny said, where like you have Clara, you have characters that do multiple attacks at the same time. Like Blade, you can go into his normal attack to his follow-up attack and then up to his ultimate or something like that in that form or fashion. And you get a fat ton of attacks from that, and it heals your whole team for a good amount if you build your Luocha to a certain degree. So in my honest opinion, he's still there. He still has value, but it really depends on what niche of team that you're trying to run, whether it be Clara, whether it be Blade, or whether it be other characters that hit a fat ton in terms of hits. That's the only way I can see him being viable. Again, with whatever content they bring out, I don't know exactly what would they have to bring out for sure in terms of making sure that Luocha stays viable. Because I think in terms of Fu Xuan, like she just got tier sustain, and HuoHuo, even the skill point issue with using her and having to heal a good bit. If you're spamming ultimate, or if you're spamming or you have speedy supports, it kind of mitigates the loss that HuoHuo is gonna have when it comes to using her initial burst heal while also having the passive heal that she gets from her talent. So Luocha's in a weird spot. We're gonna have to see whenever they do decide to rerun him what we're looking at in terms of the game, because we don't know if he's gonna be in 1.6. We don't know if he's going to be in the patch after or patch after that. So we'll have to see what content we're going to have, because especially if he's not rerunning in version 1.6, having Ruin May, having MOC 11 and 12, having Pure Fiction, we're definitely going to have to see what the meta revolves around when it comes to him being on the team versus all these other supports or sustains that can do way more than that. But the last thing about HuoHuo before we move on to the current character that's currently out, I do want to talk about it really quickly. We kind of like sprinkled it into some of our answers already, but I want EO to answer this first, in all honesty, just because I feel like he was probably the happiest with her release. With how do you feel about her being AKA the new Silverwolf, in my opinion? Just because, and let me explain, the fact that she can give characters or your team, while being the healer, an attack buff and energy buff. How did you feel like that it helped improve the diversity or the variety of what you could make as a team with, you know, the different types of teams like main DPS with sub DPS or having multiple DPS in the same team? How did you feel with HuoHuo's release? How like better the team building got with it, EO?
I don't know. It's a weird, like, it's definitely weird for me to even think about it that way, because, well, not to say that you're, you know, like it's wrong or anything like that, because I do agree with you. But it was weird for me to think about it that way, because HuoHuo took me weeks to actually understand what I even wanted to do with this character. Because at first I hated her with Jing Yuan. And I was like, oh, okay, this is ass. And then I had to figure out, like, okay, you know what? Wait a minute, hold on. Like, I can get ults guaranteed. I could, you know, switch it up. I don't need Asta as much, because I'm not the biggest fan of Asta. I don't hate her, but I feel like Asta's just really there for a speed buff. And I'm like, if no one on the team, because I sometimes I even think that HuoHuo is a waste of a character, because if the character only does this one thing and they don't do anything else to provide for the team, it really makes me feel like I could find someone else that does more than that one thing while also doing the same thing. Uh, so it was weird. It was very weird. But then the energy happened, the attack buff happened. I started playing with Kafka, with HuoHuo specifically a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, you know what? This feels nice. I like this, and it let me play around with different ideas. Kafka Topaz HuoHuo or Jing Yuan Topaz HuoHuo. Just little things where I could double DPS without needing to lose out on potential damage from having two Harmony units that buff one DPS character, or having one Harmony unit and one Nihility character that buff DPS characters. I could then get like one dedicated Harmony or Nihility character, two DPS characters, and then throw HuoHuo in the mix. And I'm like, okay, this feels nice. It's no longer like a pseudo hyper carry kind of comp. It feels closer to a standard. I'm in a fantasy game and I'm playing an RPG, and I have, you know, my tank, I have my mage, I have my healer, and then I have my rogue or my sword guy, right? That's what it felt like when I was building the team. So I like it. I love that the game is moving towards that direction. And we've been seeing that minus Argenti. We've been seeing that with more characters. Argenti's just so bland. Like,
Hey,
I
that's a topic for later. Chill it out.
I
Chill it
know,
out.
I know, but I'm just saying, because like he's the only thing that kind of debunks what I'm saying here. And maybe Dr. Ratio. I don't know too much about him. He's just cool. This dude has he L poses on you, right? Dude's doing the Fortnite L dance. So I'm like, that's cool. But
There's no
Uh,
way he just said that.
that's what he does. But
Holy
outside of that,
moly.
looking into the future of these units, and the way the game is shaping up to be, multifunctional units doing more than one thing, bringing more to the table, bringing more to any one particular team, and being diverse. Hanya is a really good example of that. She's a 4-star, and that was also a character that took me a little bit to properly understand because I was looking at Hanya as like, okay, she's only for Argenti or she's only for physical. And then when I really started to expand on that, Guoba taught me like the speed thing. And I'm like, oh shit, like, wait a minute. She actually is very beneficial outside of just giving these little buffs here and there or using the skill points. Like it's more than just being a skill point generator. She has a lot more to her kit that I really appreciate on almost any one of my teams, given the fact that you have to make them work. So yeah, super long answer, I guess. I like it. I really like that direction. Maybe I wanted HuoHuo to do more. I don't know.
That's
That would have
crazy.
been
Hey, yo,
cool.
man wanted another Fushwin. No way.
Dead ass, yes.
No, I
Yeah,
definitely do not
yes.
want another one.
Why?
No,
All right, look, look,
no.
look. Hear me out. Hear me out. Why can't HuoHuo's ultimate do damage?
Okay,
Or like,
okay. Next, we're going next. We're going
no,
next.
think, bro. She summons a fox. There's a
Okay,
giant ass Karama
okay,
in the back of her.
okay.
They
Now,
give her this cool ass animation, and she can't do damage. She doesn't like put herself in some buffed up state. Like it would have been super cool. Like imagine if I would even accept this. Imagine if she summons Karama. She goes into like this fused Karama mode, right? The Baryon mode, HuoHuo, Baryon mode, HuoHuo, yeah. And then her heals do twice as much, or her attack buffs do twice as much, or they last twice as long. That'd be fire. Come on, bro. You can't tell me that wouldn't be cool.
it would be cool if Mr. Tail could like add something to Ho because she is getting possessed in the ult quite literally. But I want to see what Pokey says about this because I remember in the previous episode he was like, "Yeah, sub DPS ain't gonna work. Like right now, hyper carry is just a little too much right now. The sub DPS versus the main DPS versus hyper carry is not gonna equal up to the same damage at the end of the day." And with the inclusion of Hanya and HuoHuo and these other characters that are coming out that are allowing for multiple characters to get buffed while replacing certain roles, like how HuoHuo is doing support and healing, has your opinion changed, Pokey, or you're still like, nah, hyper carry is still it? Like we're still in that buff everyone. I mean, buff one person only, have everyone support that one person.
It's changed, but only applicable to DOT comps, in my opinion. Because no other sub DPS or like dual DPS comps with HuoHuo is doing super well. Like I wouldn't run Jing with Blade and then run HuoHuo with them. I wouldn't run like maybe I would run like HuoHuo with like Asta, Topaz, and Himiko. Maybe I would, but I can't test it right now because right now fire just sucks. But so far the biggest beneficiary is still the DOT comps with Kafka plus a DOT and Asta, and then you run four of them. That's comps really really good, and I think they actually competes with like the hyper carry comps. But that being said, I still think hyper carry is good. Not for the sake that they're doing like the most amount of damage, but simply from like a investment standpoint, you basically spend less resources if you were to invest in a hyper carry comp, because you now need to only invest in one DPS, because the rest of the supports and sustains you can just share with everyone. Once you raise your team in Asta and all your supports and your Bronya, that's it. You basically just need one DPS for team 1, one DPS for team 2, and then they're good to go. Whereas compared to if you want to run a sub DPS, usually sub DPS team comps are really really restrictive. Like for example, you would run like Topaz with probably just Himiko and Clara, and for DOT comps you would just run Kafka with other DOT comps. So if you really want to go down a sub DPS route, in the future if they release more units, you probably have to really use that unit, A unit with B unit, in a sub DPS setup. But that's not the case for hyper carry because the supports are all the same. You can just run like any mix and match of supports plus a sustain, and then there's hyper carry at school. So HuoHuo's inclusion, Hanya's inclusion, doesn't change that fact that you still spend like in a sense more resources to invest in this. And I'm not really representative of the general player base, but I do think that resource is somewhat of a bottleneck, especially when you want to raise units all the way up to like Tracers level 10, getting good relics, getting good levels and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, the resource thing is a big thing, and I could definitely see that impacting the general player base a lot more. Now that I think about it, because if like you are like, say you have Topaz, you do have to level up Himiko or Clara or whoever you're gonna use with the Jing Yuan. I didn't honestly think about that, because to be honest, I think all of us here just spam the bundles or whatever, the Stardust shop or whatever it's
No,
called.
bro.
I don't even spam the
Nah,
bundle.
bro. I
No.
spent $20, bro.
This
Nah, nah.
man.
It's almost been a year. I've just been casually playing the game. You know, they're
Appar-
built up to at least level 70 by this point.
Apparently, everyone here is free to play.
Free to play with Premium Nitro, by the way.
That's crazy. All right, Destiny, what about you? Versus sub hyper carry versus sub DPS. With the inclusion of HuoHuo, how do you feel like her and maybe even Hanya's inclusion into the game has changed maybe your opinion on which one you use?
I use both, to be honest, but I notice I typically end up using teams where it's like one main DPS and then two supports and then the sustain. That's kind of just how I play though, usually, because I like using characters like Zila and characters like Jing Liu. And Jing Liu can have like Blade with her, but I kind of just am like, you know what? Pela, Tingyun, HuoHuo, go destroy everything. So it just depends, honestly. Like I would like to do I wouldn't mind two DPSs on one team. I just notice I typically don't play it. And I don't think that hyper carry is like fully falling off, but I think instead what it is that you just have to be able to actually sustain your teams at this point, because if you're not doing enough damage fast enough, well, then you need to be able to sustain your teams. And if you can't do that, that's where I feel like a lot of the difficulty will come in, because now you can't clear whatever you're trying. And I don't think that like if you don't zero cycle that your account is shit or anything like that. I think it's
How
just,
dare you not zero cycle?
bro, no, like I mean I zero cycle for funsies sometimes, but it's not like a big thing where I'm like, if I don't do it, like my account's bad or something.
You can
It's
zero
literally
cycle?
just like a fun little challenge. Huh?
I say you can zero cycle?
You're not doing
Uh,
that in this MOC. Not
I,
yet.
I don't think I could do it this MOC, but I've done it previous MOCs. But yeah, it just depends. I mean, I just like playing honestly what's fun. But I will say, now that I played this current MOC a lot, I'm telling you, dude, I say it every patch now, at least in one video. Clara is underrated. She is my girl. She's just great. She's great. She takes that reduced damage, you know. She pew pew back and you die.
The
So I
like-
still think she's like one of the best characters, low key, but that's a debate for another day.
it always ends in one of her answers being Clara propaganda.
Yes, I am Clara propaganda. Honestly, at this point, I just need to make a Clara video every single week.
Not gonna lie, really quickly, and I'm not gonna go too far off of what we're supposed to be talking about, but not gonna lie, I'm super happy of what they've been adding as enemies to the game, like characters double attacking and stuff like that. I think that is so good for like a lot of different characters, and I know Clara's the only one that can kind of benefit from that. Oh, Blade too, but in the future, if we get more characters, I'm glad that these enemies are actually double attacking or doing multiple attacks at the same turn. Even though like they cause dizzy or whatever that thing is.
Cheating.
What do you mean?
No,
What?
bro, why the enemy get to attack twice in a row, but all my characters can't attack twice in
You
a row?
literally have sell it, but okay.
Excuse me, I'm talking about everybody.
But
Why can't they all do it?
I just like that they're adding different enemies and they're doing different things. Like even though they're stunning me out in that second hit, I'm still happy that Clara can kind of deal with that, or Blade can benefit from that as well. But let's go ahead, and I feel like I actually do want to hear the takes on this one. We need to talk about the man of the hour, Mr. Argenti, who has been recently released. Not gonna lie, I absolutely love him. I think he's absolutely insane, especially with his nuke potential with his ult. I think I really like him just because it makes my daily grind a lot faster. Not even because he's like broken or anything. I think right now we're in a very fine line of power when it comes to Argenti. He's not trash and he's not broken. He's right down the middle, and I really like that in my honest opinion at the current moment. And he just makes grinding so much easier. I'm clearing relic domains in like 20 seconds. Sim Universe is getting done in like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, because he's just like spamming ult, especially if you get like auspicious star. he's getting his full.
Boom.
Yeah, he's just like nonstop spamming ult until they're dead. I absolutely love it. I think he's just that nice quality of life character. In my honest opinion, he makes things very easy and it speeds up the grind by a crap ton. But I do want to hear the opinions here for Argenti, and I'm gonna start with Pokey because I don't think neither of you have him. Do you? EO and Disney?
No, I don't have him.
I still have opinions on him, bro.
Of course, well, of course, we all do.
Those don't matter.
For someone that does have Argenti, Pokey, what do you think about him?
So far, really comfy, but it's also because of the fact that the current MOC 10 just really favors him. You know,
Mhm.
4 enemy mobs, it's all weak to physical, so he's just really shining. I can't really give like a conclusive statement because I'm thinking his entire existence as well as the entirety of the erudition class, it will really start to shine when Pure Fusion comes out. So
Mhm.
I'm still really holding my reserve because I think Pure Fusion is going to be such a huge change in the end game cycle in Honkai Star Rail to the point where it will drastically change like the entirety of how tier list is going to function. Because I'm pretty sure there's going to be 2 different tier lists now after Pure Fusion comes out. So one for MOC and one for Pure Fusion. And when that mode comes out,
More
I
fights happen.
personally think
More
that
fights
he's
happen.
probably going to be really good. Especially if there's gonna be like 5 mob content. I'm just based on like my own feels crafting. I'm thinking it's somewhat like the previous events we've gotten where they just keep releasing more and more waves of units and then you just go ahead and slap them up. And back then, Herta and Himiko, they were really
Oh
good.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. That one event, that one event.
So I'm thinking that if they were to release Pure Fiction with like a physical weakness, I don't see Argenti being anywhere less than the best of the best in terms of like every other unit we have right now, because no other unit can clear AoE contents as much as like erudition. So that's for future though. But right now, I think he's just really good. But it is definitely inflated because of the MOC blessings and the MOC rotations. In other than that, like what EO and what you guys mentioned, he's really comfortable when it comes to like farming your overworld mobs. Cause like in like full auto, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but if you guys use Argenti in waves with like there's no boss, the AI will automatically use his.
Use the first one. Yeah, exactly.
And then when you're against waves with like elites or bosses, then he'll save
He
up
saves
100,
it,
which I
dude.
thought was
I
really
love
smart.
that. I was like,
yeah. Meanwhile, you have Pella down there using her skill. I don't know what-
No, dude, I love that so much. I noticed that too because when I was doing the relic domain, I was like, bro, why are you using your ult? Like, you're supposed to be saving it like until you get the enhanced one at least. But he spams the first one like nonstop every time he gets it. And then when he goes to the second wave and the boss is there, he's actually saving. I'm like, whoa, what? I didn't know he could do stuff like that.
Yeah. So if anything, you know, if players don't really care for Memory of Chaos, they don't care for endgame content. If you're just somebody that just want to do like your normal stuff, I think he's like really comfy. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Destiny, go ahead. What do you think about Argenti? Because you said you had your opinion.
Yeah, I hope we all have our opinions. But basically, okay, it might sound like hot take. I don't actually think he's in the middle. I think he's like really strong, but because of I guess how simple he is, I feel like he is so easy to like power creep in the future.
Mhm.
Like that's my main
Whoa.
issue.
The hell did this
What the world?
Oh, I said the P word.
Hi, everyone.
Somebody call the park rangers. Get this wild bear up out of here.
We start
brother.
talking about Argenti, he immediately came in. Ain't no way.
Bro, nah, no. Okay, I can explain. So when his whole like thing is, and I'm not saying he's bad at all. He is incredibly strong. Like I've been seeing people hit 1,000,000 damage
Oh,
with
yes,
him. And they're
sir.
like,
Yes, sir.
like he's very strong. If you want a good DPS option, definitely there. The only reason I'm saying the power creep thing though is because in my opinion, he doesn't have like really anything, I guess, super unique or super like something. I'm trying to think of how to word it. Okay, it could go 2 ways. We get another Ting Yun somehow, and now like Argenti is flourishing with nonstop energy and he's ulting every single turn. And at that point, like, yeah, I missed out with no Argenti, not gonna lie. Or they just, what if like they just released an even stronger physical damage dealer that did AoE damage? I'm sure they would not do that anytime soon. So maybe it doesn't matter in the long scheme of things or the grand scheme of things, my bad. But I feel like it's just easier for, I guess, future wise for him to get replaced by someone else. The other DPS characters, in my opinion, you could say similar stuff about them because you're like, well, what if someone just does more damage? The thing is, though, I think because they have specific mechanics, and I don't think like any of the DPS characters we've gotten so far are super complex, but
Hmm.
when it comes to the mechanics, some of them can potentially improve with more characters we get. But I mean, technically speaking, yeah, you could say once again the same thing with Argenti. If we get more characters that continuously enhance energy, then he will benefit from that. But I guess it kind of just depends. I don't know. But when it comes to like him in the middle, I suppose, I don't know. I feel like he does too much damage to be considered in the middle, but that's just how I feel about it. And maybe you're not referring to his damage when you say in the middle. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that.
Yeah,
Mm,
so
good.
I can wait for you to finish, and then whenever you're done, I'll go over it.
Uh, well, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. The maybe the power creep thing is a little far fetched. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. That's just my initial thought. But you can say it about other characters. Nobody's power creeping my Clara though. I don't care. No, nobody
Next.
got some counterattacks like that.
Next.
Oh, I thought you just called her mid. I was
No,
about
no,
to be like,
I'm saying next. I was like, we're
uh-uh.
not hearing this Clara stuff again.
Clara propaganda. The real ones will know. Trust me, they will know. But go ahead, EO. What do you mean by like in the middle? Maybe like because I think I'm misunderstanding what you guys mean by that.
Yeah, so in the middle essentially means that, and I'll use the two characters here. You have Jing Liu, who is, even Daniel, right? One of those two can be considered the top DPS characters in the game currently,
Hmm.
without a shadow of a doubt. And then you have a character, just for this specific example, we'll use Jing Yuan, who is not up there with them on his own and requires other means to get there. Argenti is in the middle of that, where he doesn't necessarily require other means to get there, but because of the way his kit is designed, it takes him longer to get there on his own. So like out of the gate, Jing Liu is disgusting. Daniel is disgusting. It takes him what, like half a turn to set up, maybe one turn to set up, and you can increase that depending on who's the partner. But no matter what you do with Argenti, getting him there still takes you roughly 2 to 3 turns. And that's partner dependent because he definitely is not doing that on his own. His damage is amazing, but his ability to get access to that damage as quickly as the other characters is not there. So he's not on Jing Yuan level in terms of like, I need other characters to get to this point and see the impressive damage, i.e., like Ting Yun being glued to Jing Yuan, versus with Jing Liu. Jing Liu don't really need Bronya. Like it just helps her get there. Jing Liu could rock out with any one of the Harmony characters, any one of the Haley characters, and she's fine. She's still gonna crack somebody's skull in half with a Getsuga Tensho. Daniel, no matter who you have on the team, is still gonna pop 300,000 damage because he breathed a breath on you. I don't know, dragon breath, and now you're dead. Argenti has the capability of hitting 1 million damage, but it takes him more to get there compared to them. But he also doesn't take as much to get there like Jing Yuan or even Topaz, right? Like you could name any of the previous characters that have come out. They just don't get immediate access as strongly as the top characters. I think Blade is probably closer to the middle at this point now, but Blade stands the test of time because his versatility on any
Yeah.
team is phenomenal. Whereas Argenti's a very, and this is where you get into like what I was explaining with my takes and my guide and how I felt about him. Argenti's a character that's very selfish. I can make Jing Yuan work as a sub DPS character. Making Argenti work as a sub DPS character feels like I'm doing him a disservice. I guess I'm doing a disservice to Jing Yuan too, but because I know there's someone stronger than him, and I know that as an erudition character, I could always benefit from Lightning Lord. At the end of the day, I know Lightning Lord is going to come down and hammer, 171,000 damage, 200,000 damage, whatever, like to end off the turn. I can plan around that. In Argenti's case, let's say that I built a team and it was, I don't know, Tingyun, uh, Zila, Argenti, and some sustain, or even Bronya, Zila, Argenti, and some sustain. I know that the Harmony character is going to want to buff Zila because I know she's the one that I'm banking on for the immediate damage. She's fast. She's going to attack multiple times per turn. and she's gonna pick off KOs really easily.
Yeah.
Argenti is there to weaken the other enemies so that Zila can do that. But because Argenti's whole thing is like double ultimate, a million damage, you die. I'm conflicted. I want him to get the a million damage because I know if he one shots them, I don't have to play any games. But to get to the one shot takes more effort. And at that point, I just wouldn't have Zila on the team. I would then
Mhm.
give him somebody else to help him get to the million damage that much faster. That's what I mean by mid. Like I think because I had some I don't want to call them arguments, disputes in my comment section from that title. And then I did see the Reddit thread. I
Oh
think
no.
today's generation or today's like internet age has completely taken the term mid and turned it into a whole different word. What people consider mid now is trash, ass, bad, whatever. That's not what mid means. Mid just means middle of the road, like you're just in the middle. It was a short way of us saying like, okay, cool, that's in the middle. It's cool. It's whatever. That's a better way to say that. Mid just equals whatever. It's not something that blows my socks off, but it's not something that's gonna get a reaction out of me that's gonna like, man, this is dog shit. Because if I said he's dog shit, like you would know, you know what I mean?
Nah, bro,
So
that's a title. I would lose it.
yeah,
He is
you would
dog
know
shit.
that's what that is. Like when I had issues with Jing Yuan and his power compared to everybody else, I made that very clear. I never called Jing Yuan mid Yuan. I said he's not performing to what I want him to perform. Um, which would go towards like the bad territory, even though he's not bad. So yeah, it's a definition thing at the end of the day. Like terminology is different.
Mm,
the
interesting.
the thing I wanted to say this because I did see this comment, and it wasn't in my video. I don't think it was. I think it was in someone else's. But I want to make it fair, and I want to see what y'all say really quickly before we move on to the next thing,
Mhm.
which is Genuine versus Argenti, and it's in the topic of how come we make fun or we like say it in a negative or a con that Jingyuin's damage is all backloaded, right? Like we have to wait for Lightning Lord to stack up. We have to wait for Jingyuin to get his stack so that Lightning Lord, has his stuff. When Argenti has to do the same thing but wait for energy. He has to wait for the energy to come out. He has to wait for these units to support him to give him the energy back, like Tingyun, like Hanya giving him the skill points so he can keep using skill points because he is pretty skill point intensive, like Jingyuin. How come we're not putting that on a fault on him and we're only doing it on Jingyuin?
Repeat your question.
Genuine's damage is backloaded. We make fun of it because of Lightning Lord. We have to stack it up. We need units to stack up his damage so that when it does happen, boom, it's a big number, right?
Right.
Argenti needs the same exact thing, but instead of stacks, his energy. We have to fill it up to double energy, double levels for his ult, and we have to buff him up so he can do a million damage, big number pop. How come we don't fault Argenti on that the same way we do our Jing Yuan?
Who is we?
I think the thing is that a lot of people put Argenti and Jing Yuan in different tiers when people are saying like the damage is the same. Like they both do
Well,
this. What was it?
I don't know who's saying the damage is the same
Is
because they're lying to you.
it's
Like
more
the
it's
damage that
more
Argenti does by himself, or I guess like I won't even say without buffs, but like an improper
Bugs?
Argenti, no buffs. Like because clearly we've Rihoo's done it. Poke I think has also done it. Like Argenti hitting a million damage outside of simulated universe. I don't think I've seen a single character do that. Maybe E2 Daniel, but I haven't even seen Zila pop a million damage outside of simulated universe, especially consistently. Argenti having the capability of doing that is stupid. Not a bad kind of stupid, like a good kind of stupid. Um, I've never seen a Jing Yuan hit close to a million damage, especially outside of simulated universe. Like even in simulated universe, it takes a lot. You need every single buff possible. You still need your harmony units. The enemy has to be weakened. Like at that point, you need 5 characters on your team for him to get close to a million damage, but still not hit a million damage. Argenti's hitting a million outside of all of that. No buffs, doesn't need 5 characters. At most, 2, HuoHuo and Ting Yun. You could probably get away with like Bronya and Ting Yun. Whatever you want to make it up, right? Hanya and Ting Yun. Doesn't matter. Point being is that outside of simulated universe, he's cracking a million. That damage difference is huge. So being backloaded, but having the damage to back it up, and that's kind of what I was saying about Jing Yuan a while ago. If Jing Yuan was cracking skulls for like everything he did, and Lightning Lord wasn't random, right? Like if there's a random fucking enemy on the field with 1 HP, Lightning Lord is gonna hit that enemy, and then all the damage that would have been to the boss goes to that enemy because it doesn't bounce over to the next enemy, which is dumb. So in Lightning Lord's case, it's backloaded. I have no control over it. If he gets CC'd, I'm cooked. And even if I un-CC him, right, like I remove the crowd control, Lightning Lord has already reset his position. So it's a lot of issues that Lightning Lord or Jing Yuan has as a kit that would keep him from matching Argenti just because of the backloaded damage. Argenti is, yeah, he's backloaded, but I don't have the same issues as you. If I get CC'd, my ult doesn't go away. If I ult before I get CC'd, you're still probably dead. If I get un-CC'd, I can immediately go again. And then, of course, my damage is a million damage, or I have the capability of hitting a million damage versus Jing Yuan not having that capability, especially not as easily. Now, anyone in here can correct me if I'm wrong and in the comments, but like I said, I've never seen a Jing Yuan hit a million or close to a million outside of MOC at E0.
Someone's about to pull up a clip with 2 mil damage, and you're like, bro.
Right? And be like,
God
oh, what's your
damn.
Eidolons? Oh, he's E6.
Oh,
S E6 S5. All right, bro.
That's crazy. You have anything?
Bro,
that-
I think I'm gonna go feral. I did a single to try to get Hanya.
You got
got
Argenti.
Argenti.
You got Argenti?
Yes,
Ain't no way.
I got a
Hey,
free Genti.
You're one of those players, bro. I
Facts.
talk about y'all all the time. Stay away from
I-
the
you
banner
know-
if you have no reason to be on that banner.
No, I had a reason. The Hanya
You
was
already
reason.
have you have like an E2 Hanya. You had
No, I
no
don't.
What do you have?
I literally had E0.
That's fine.
That-
That E0
No,
Hanya is
no,
perfectly fine.
No,
That's
I
insane.
wanted more.
And
But
now you
instead,
have Argenti. Now you got fucked.
Any,
fucked.
Nah, bro, it's free
anyways,
free
anyways.
Venti.
You have anything to add to that, Pokey, about Jing Yuan and Argenti's backloaded damage?
I think there's one very straightforward thing, and it basically shuts down all the comparison. You can fix Argenti's backloaded, but you can't fix Genius Lightning Lord because Genius Lightning Lord, the speed is constantly fixed. It doesn't matter if you speed buff Jing Yuan, it doesn't matter if you give him action value increase. Lightning Lord is always just gonna take his own sweet ass time before he actually gets to 10 stacks and actually go. Not to mention if you get crowd control before Lightning Lord takes the action, then just restarts all the way. So that's that. But for our Genti, you have Ting
He is
Ting
ours
Yun.
now.
Yeah. For our Argenti, you have Ting Yun, you have HuoHuo. And his own personal energy gain from his trades is just super high to the point where if you're not enhanced outing with Argenti every 3 turns, then something is wrong with your team building composition. And because of that, I think it's something that you can fix as a player, especially if you have this kind of external sources. Right now, if one day MiHoYo were to release like a character that can say, okay, this buff improves all of our summoned units speed, like increased Numbi speed or increased Lightning Lord speed or something like this. If they release something like this, then we're talking, right? But right now, nothing in the game can impact how fast or how slow Lightning Lord is, except for the amount of stacks you have, and that's basically fixed. You once you cap out at 10 stacks, and that's it. You still have to wait, and not to mention all the other problems. So that is the biggest gripe and difference between Argenti and our general. Yeah.
You know, that's the
Our
funniest
general.
thing ever. Not gonna lie, if I somehow see a unit that only buffs summoned units and gives them higher speed, not only is that one of the stupidest kits I've ever thought of or heard of, but they will literally have genuine mains, Topaz and Numbi mains, instantly E6ing whatever that unit is, bro. Because imagine Lightning Lord just coming down and just like hitting like 4 times a cycle or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely.
He needs
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Destiny, do you have anything in regards to Argenti and Jing Yuan's backloaded damage?
To be fair, I've never said Jing Yuan is mid Yuan. I've always called him King Yuan in my heart.
Don't listen to her, guys. She's only saying that so she doesn't catch flack.
No, I've never actually talked really
I know
bad.
about you.
I
No,
know
you
about
don't.
you.
No, okay. I've had problems with him, yeah. And then I realized it's kind of built him like shit. I ain't gonna lie. But I think Jing Yuan's only like issue, in my opinion. I understand the Lightning Lord thing. Like the CC thing. Oh Lord. Like that's the one thing I've never liked. But I think the main thing with Jing Yuan is that he's very what's it called? There's a word for it. He's very high investment. Yeah, that's the word. Which granted, a lot of people say that like all the DPSs are high investment, but I personally don't actually agree with that.
Blade is
I
just
feel like
staring at you right now.
Who's staring at me?
Blade. And then
Oh.
gets like 50,000 crit rate with like all the stuff that he has.
Yeah, no, I don't think all of them are high investment though. Like I don't think all of them need like I guess god tier relics, whatever else to be considered in the eyes of like the mass majority good. Or they don't need a signature Lycone or whatever else it is. But I think it just depends on the character because most DPS characters, of course, will want the investment, obviously. But it just depends on who you're using. Because I feel like some of them, the build in particular, like your crit rate and crit damage ratio is like really crucial sometimes for some characters. Because if your crit rate's too low, then kind of just is what it is. But then when you have like a character, I guess like Kafka, where it's like if you just do the dot cut, is that what people call her? I don't know.
Just regular
But
Kafka.
I was like, that's
oh,
regular. You mean
oh my
Kritka?
bad. Crit cut and dot cut. No, but with Kafka, like if you just do the attack build, in my opinion, I always thought she was really easy to build when you just go for like mainly the attack build and you're not trying to do crit Kafka. But that's just my opinion on that. So it just depends. I don't think Yuan by any means is bad. And I don't think Argenti by any means is bad. I think both of them just really appreciate dedicated supports for them. Which in my opinion, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Because I think in any game, really, characters that want dedicated supports, it's not like I can see it being a negative if hypothetically all the supports they want are like other limited 5 stars. Because then it's like, okay, this is like at this point, this character's like whole thing is very expensive to even like pull off. But in Jing Yuan's case, like Ting Yun, most people have her. She's been on multiple banners. Asta is free. Hanya's on the current banners. You might get her. There's multiple options with him. And even with Argenti, there's multiple options with him too. He wants Ting Yun too. So it just I don't know. I don't per se see it as like a horrible thing though. I think it's just the way the character kits are and what you need to consider when making a team with them is all it comes down to.
All right. So after talking about Argenti, we're basically at the tail end of what we're gonna be talking about because I have two more things, and one thing is overall the 1.5 patch as a whole. Talking about HuoHuo, already talked about Argenti. Basically the value of this patch because I feel like ever since release, we've been getting like nonstop like these units are cracked, these units are good. For the most part, a lot of these characters that have been coming out so far from release up until now before 1.5 they've all been in some way form or fashion good, like Blade, he has his versatilities, SP positive, all that time, well, not SP positive but SP neutral. Kafka is the enabler for dot teams. Topaz is the enabler for follow-ups. You have Jing Liu being cracked, Don Hung being cracked. You have Celis still basically thugging it out. You still have her still running rampant in MOC. Silwolf is a thing. Luocha, Fushua. All these characters have just been absolutely insane. And they still hold their value up until today. And with version 1.5, I feel like we finally hit a point where units can be skippable, question mark. I don't know how to say it. It's like I want to hear what y'all's opinions are in terms of the value or the power of these units, whether it be, do you want them to stay in the same realm, like they're stay in the middle, kind of like how Argenti's like in the middle of all the DPS? He's not broken, but he's not too bad at the game. Or should they always be like one-upping each other? Like, okay, Fushun, we have Fushun, right? We need to make Fushun 2 next patch. We need to make Jing Liu 2 next patch. Or do you think that they still need to dial it down? Like, we still have way too many cracked characters. We kind of need to like lower the power a little bit before we have that problem where there's too much and the game just doesn't keep up. Where do you think Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say I want the only and next broken character to be Raiden.
Okay, dude.
That's
Okay.
valid though. No, that's valid though.
Serious.
That's
Like
valid
it's
though.
coming around the anniversary of the game. Raiden in almost every game that HuoHuo has is some like power symbol. She's an Archon in Genshin. She's multiple Hershers in Honkai Impact. And now she's a Galaxy Ranger, which I'm just gonna call her a Power Ranger. So I guess
That's
Power Rangers
insane.
should be ultra powerful too, but whatever. Her coming at that time and being the variant of a character that she is, I feel like it's respectable for her to one of two things. This is my prediction here, and this is of course based off of some information that may or may not have spread around the internet. months
Uh,
ago. So nothing's confirmed, but we have seen the trailer for this Acheron, I think is how you pronounce the name.
Acheron, I
Acheron.
think. Yeah.
Acheron. We have seen some stuff about Acheron in terms of like just her in the game from that trailer, her saying her name, whatever. Uh, some of y'all, Destiny can attest to this, have been saying that Acheron is not Raiden and that Raiden is a whole different character. Genshin Impact has two Raidens, basically. Like if we're looking at this from a very literal standpoint, there are two Raidens. There's Yai or EA, however
No,
you
it's
pronounce your
it's
name.
it's A and the other one's
A.
Makoto.
Yeah, A and Makoto. I expect them to give us two Raidens in this game.
Ain't
Twin.
no way. Ain't no way. Nah.
I could type out why, because I don't want you to get like sniped. But there's a reason
him
why I'm
saying that
saying
alone is horrible.
no, it's not. No, it's not. Nothing that I said is like the L word. But there's a
Mm.
reason I'm saying that I think there's going to be two Raidens, or they're going to do what I would prefer them to do, and we're actually going to get double paths come 2.0. If
Wha-
we get double paths, that means that like a character would be classified as nihility, and then the other half of that would be classified as hunt. How they're going to work that out, I have no idea. But that would
Man,
open up
the
like
programmers
it
are
would
looking
open
at
up
you
a lot
like,
of
no
doors.
way.
I'm just saying it would open up way more doors. Now you have two different sets of light cones that you could use. You could choose to make them more of a blank side or the other side, or their kit could be completely revolved around like the idea of switching. So, their skill could be a transformation, right? Oh yeah, well when I use my skill, I go into a hunt character and my basic attacks do whatever the skill multiplier would have been. Or I could use my skill again, turn into a nihility character, and now my basic attacks apply debuffs or my ult applies debuffs. When I go into a hunt form, my ultimate does like 1,000,000 damage. I don't fucking know.
That moment your
But
light cone stops working as soon as you hit seal.
that'd be crazy, right? You just lose all your buffs. I think the light cone would apply no matter what though, because they would always be classified, kind of like Pokemon, right? Pokemon, you could have dual typings, fire and water, for instance. And the held item that you could hold might be like Mystic Water, which enhances your water type attacks, but it doesn't not do anything just because you decide to use or just because you're a fire type. You can still hold that item and use it. It just won't benefit the other half of your kit. So I don't think they would do that and like it takes away from the stats or elements or whatever like that. But I do think that would be a really cool concept. I want them to do that. Like I really want the anniversary. I really want Acheron or whoever to be a very powerful unit because that would set the precedence for a lot of things.
Even more broken than Jing Liu and Don Hung, or right at their level.
Either on their level or more broken. And I won't even say more broken, just stronger in some way, shape, or form. You can like okay, like the big three, right? The big three for anime,
Oh
they're the
my
big
God.
three, and they're all like similar. They're all shonens, but they have different things about them that make them stand out. I think it's fine to have a Jing Liu, top triple S 99 tier. You could have an Imbiber de Lune, top triple S 99 tier, and then you could throw in Acheron slash well, I'm just gonna call it Raiden. You could throw in Raiden, and then that could be a triple S 99 plus tier, whatever. That's fine. It doesn't like just because one character is like super strong doesn't mean they have to bump the other character out that's also super strong. They can all sit up there in the super strong territory. They're just super strong for different reasons.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Pokey, what do you think about version 1.5 in terms of the characters that come out like HuoHuo and Argenti? Do you think we should basically make the future units around their level where like they're not needed, but you can pull on them if they want? They're pretty good if you do pull on them. Should we be making like Fushun 2s, Jing Liu 2s, like version 2s where they're
Jing Liu
even
2.
stronger? Where
Bro,
they're
it's
strong.
like the YouTube channels.
where they're stronger than the previous characters, or do you think we still need to dumb it down? We need to make characters more bring them more to the ground because we already have way more broken characters as is.
From a business
Oh,
corporate
no.
perspective, it doesn't make sense for them to release like subpar units because if that's the case, then people will just wait for the reruns, like the old units reruns, and they just never pull for the new units, so it doesn't make sense. But more importantly, I think going beyond what the units MiHoYo is going to release, I think it's like super important to think about like the content. So like Memory of Chaos is getting harder, MOC 12, Pure Fiction. I think it's a very generally a good direction to go, especially if you're somebody that has been putting in the effort to play the game and spend this amount of time doing team comps and that kind of stuff. Having a more difficult challenge, it gives I mentioned this in my own videos, but I think a more difficult end game definitely rewards the player more if they actually manage to accomplish it. And then if you don't accomplish the end game, then so what? It really doesn't matter that much. Like even if you don't even tie any strategic rewards to it, as long as you provide an end game, I think it's just generally creates a sense of like community. People can talk about the ideas, like, oh, this is really difficult. How do you clear it? And I think it's generally just better for the game in general to go for like more and more interesting and engaging content that is not like straight up you full auto and just clear everything. So that's that. So assuming that MiHoYo does go down this road of like releasing even more difficult content, then I hope that they don't counteract this by releasing really strong units, because that would defeat the purpose and it will actually make it pay to win. To the point where okay, you did a releasing harder content and now you need the newer and newer units to match up with the harder content, which wouldn't make sense. So I hope that they still release units to like somewhat similar power level. I'm not saying that they should be like super mediocre or like the exact same power level we have where we have now, but at least don't create a problem and sell a solution is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's my opinion.
What about you, Destiny? In terms of new units being either broken than what we already have every patch, stay in the middle where they are like Argenti and HuoHuo, or make them even lower in terms of their power because we already have too many broken characters.
I can agree. I think like with everyone's points on that. I feel like because if the game gets harder, like the MOC gets more difficult, it's very likely that the characters that come out in the future are going to be able to help with that, which in turn is likely going to be making their kits possibly better than older character kits, or just rather more versatile. Because I think most of the characters at this point, it's not that one kit is inherently better than another kit. It's more like they're more versatile with their kit, if that makes sense. Like they can do more, either they're more overtuned, whatever it is. Because I think every character has some form of uniqueness to their kit and what they're able to do, which gives them a value in itself. But when it comes to like the future, I agree marketing wise, which is funny because I be taking classes that literally go over this type of stuff, not with gotcha games, thankfully.
Gotcha
but
game class.
but it's like making a product. Why would you give a consumer a product that isn't possibly better than the previous few products? Like that's like, let's say you made an iPhone and then this new iPhone is like, it's tremendously like worse or just mediocre in comparison to like the literally the last generation iPhone. Why is anyone buying it? The answer to that is that yeah, some people will buy it regardless because loyalty, but most of the time, like it's just once the value gets known about it and it's like, oh, this isn't good, then you're just not gonna buy it. And I didn't buy the newest phone either because I heard like something's just the phone breaks or something. I don't remember what it was. Think about the screen or like the back of it. But regardless, they're likely going to just keep making more and more versatile character kits. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it'll become an issue if they did make a Jing Liu 2 and it's literally Jing Liu's kit. But let's say they doubled the multipliers and it's like, okay, dude, what are you doing now? Like why would you do that? Because I think that's kind of crazy to do that. And I think they would honestly catch flack for something like that, to just literally copy a kit and decide, you know what, make this kit better though. Because it's like, I get it. Power creep is a thing that happens in nearly every gotcha game for the most part. Not all of them. Well, most of them. Most of them, yeah. But there are ways to approach power creep, I think, or rather progression in a game in a healthy way, which is continuously making versatility in character kits. And I think personally, the way they're going to do that is they're just going to take a bunch of like, they're going to just look at their simulated universe and make character kits based off the buffs and simulated universe, which allows for a bunch of possibilities and what characters can actually do if they do that. So I think that'll be likely a thing. So if you see a character kit and you're like, oh, that's kind of like a buff in simulated universe, I wouldn't be too surprised. I think they've actually already done that with like one or two characters where some of their kit is very similar to certain buffs in sim. But it just depends. I think making them more appealing is a good thing because sales and companies want sales. So whether that be character design, it could be lore. Like the character doesn't have to be OD, but let's say in the story, they're highly likable. That's enough reason for enough people to just go for it because they like the character that much. Like, like tell me, would you pull for a summonable Paimon? that fights?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is Paimon an adult?
What?
Why does that matter?
If Paimon's an adult, then I'll pull an adult character.
Okay, all right.
If
Let's move on, bro.
Let's move on, bro.
No. I'm not saying it in that way. I mean, legit. Like Paimon's a fucking tiny ass fairy character. I'm not. What would I pull that
No,
for?
that would be funny as hell.
The-
Imagine
No,
Paimon
it
with like
wouldn't.
no, listen, let me talk. Imagine Paimon with like a Minecraft pickaxe, just
Okay, okay.
like
The better example would have been, would y'all still pull Raiden if she was dog? If she was Yanqing
yeah,
too?
sure.
Yeah,
If like if Raiden was actual like boo boo water and like it's like but I like her story, so I'm gonna go for it anyway. So like yeah, no, that's the thing too. At that point, that's just making a very likable character. They're likely still gonna catch flack for her being shit though. I'm not gonna lie, but people are still gonna buy it. And at the end of the day, I mean that's what they want. So
All right, so let's go ahead and basically wrap this up with the last topic, because of course with version 1.6 we're gonna get Ruin May, we're gonna get Dr. Ratio, we're gonna get the stream eventually, and we're gonna get the drip marketing for a bunch of new stuff. We have a lot coming, but the main thing that I want to talk about really quickly is the MOC changes really quick. When it comes to, I feel like we are, well, I don't think it's not I feel, I know we've all seen the kind of difficulty bump in the MOC, where, as EO said already previously, that he has to now actually look at the screen to see if he's gonna die or not, because of the newer floors. Well, not newer floors, but the floors of like 9 and 10, where it's not just like brain dead auto as you usually would do. And especially with the floors of 11 and 12 coming out, how like extreme do you think these are gonna get? Because we've already seen the bump that they just brought out of nowhere, where we're seeing these enemies do a lot more damage and they have a lot more health than usual. How do you think 11 and 12 are gonna fare? Are we gonna finally see the appearance of the 5 cop? The 5 Kafkas are finally gonna come out.
Yes, sir.
What do you think we're gonna see in 11 and 12? For the fact that they've already tried to give us a small bump right now, what do you think is gonna be in 11 and 12? You think we're just gonna get the same thing but triple or double the HP, or you think we're gonna get something different, like maybe debuffs, maybe double elites or triple elites or something like that? What do you think we're gonna get? Let's start with Destiny. What could they do to ramp it up? 3
the
teams?
MOC.
Yeah, because we're getting 11 and 12, and they've already tried to make it a little bit harder as is. So what are they gonna throw at us at 11 and 12?
Very likely just honestly like steroided up enemies, bro. There's gonna be 5 Kafkas. They're gonna make Jing Liu a boss, and then there's gonna be 52 Jing Lius. No, I'm just kidding. I think what they'll do is literally just amp up their health and amp up like how much damage they do. And I don't really know what else they could do. Like maybe like okay, actually, this would be really cool if they did this, and I think it'd be really fun for like videos and like just challenges. What if like an MOC they added like a I don't know if you guys gotten to this point in Zenless, but it's a thing in Zenless where you can like do an extreme risk thing and you can put like basically debuffs on yourself to make it harder for yourself as like just a fun rewarding thing. I think that could be pretty like interesting. Now I don't know how many people are actually gonna do that.
You would want
But-
that in MOC though?
That I think it'd be fun if it was just a challenge, but the thing is I do think people would probably feel away if like you got more recurrency if you did it versus if you didn't.
Well, you
I think it'd just be
should.
fun for the challenge purpose.
Nah, you should
Yeah,
be
you
getting.
should. You should. But then if it's too hard and nobody can actually do like the challenge, then
Then you work your way up
people are
to
gonna
it.
feel away. I
It-
think
Go ahead.
I don't know. I think that would just be fun. Like I would do it, and I'd probably be screaming about losing. But I don't know. I think it'd be fun. But all I think they can do is just make it harder. That's it. Just like maybe make the enemy levels go up to like 100, because I don't think it's at 100 yet, right?
Isn't it
MOC
already at
10.
100?
Is it? Is MOC 10 at 100?
I'm not.
I don't think
entirely-
it's 100. I thought it was like 90 something.
I could
No?
have swore
I don't
I
know.
saw 100 somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not looking at it right.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I don't know. Go to 150. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
150 would be crazy. But no, I actually don't know what they would do. Like, because MOC 10, they just ramped up the MOC difficulty, which I currently am like, I'm kind of a fan of it. But my 0 cycles are no more. but it's okay.
They're like,
But
y'all been doing this
yeah,
too much. We need to
right.
stop
No
y'all.
more zero cycles. Goodbye. Build your teams a certain way, and it's like okay. But 11 and 12, yeah, I genuinely don't know. I'm very excited to see though, because I will be playing that. But
Question is,
I
will
don't
you
know.
be able to clear it?
Probably not. And I think that's the best part.
What about you, Poke?
Probably-
Yeah, I know. Oh, were you finished?
Oh, I was about to say, damn, I gotta spend more money.
Oh, ooh, no, there's no shot. Pokey, I know you've seen some people say that they can barely clear MOC 10. What do you feel about the difficulty spike that came out of nowhere? And of course, what are they going to throw at us at 11 and 12? Because I would like to see something more challenging. But what do you think?
First of all, yo, check out my video, the
Ain't
MOC
no way.
difficulty
Oh,
drama.
no.
I talk about it pretty extensively there, so 90% of stuff I'm just gonna say over there, so that's that. But specifically with regards to MOC 11 and 12, I personally think it's gonna be really great. Like what Destiny mentioned, I would really love it if you could just like I don't know some sort of debuffs just for the sake of the accomplishment because it makes it very optional. You can play the game with the debuffs, you can play the game without the debuffs. It's kind of like how you can do a zero cycle clear, but you can also don't do a zero cycle clear. It's completely up to you. With no strings attached, right? There's no additional rewards, there's nothing. It's just more content for player base to try. I think this debuff is really, really great. Probably not gonna be anytime soon though. They're probably gonna just keep ramping up the MOC, like straight up the artificial difficulty for MOC. Maybe there might be okay. I think there's gonna be even more MOC levels because what's stopping them from adding beyond MOC 12?
Yeah, they can
Because
go
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong,
20,
like
50.
Genshin started out with Abyss at 12, right? They started out with 12, like straight up. It has always been 12 in Genshin.
Mm-hmm. It's never
Yeah, so
six.
so if they added 12 in MOC, what's stopping them from adding MOC 14, 16, 20, all the way up, right?
Oh,
So
yes, sir.
I think that
20.
yeah, I mean like it's gonna be really fun, and they've already included the auto sweep feature, so players could straight up
True.
just go all the way up to
No,
7.
that's
So
true.
why would they implement that feature and only for it to stop at 12, right? So I think the longer the game goes, we can just keep auto sweeping all the way up to whatever the highest level is, aside from like the 4 levels away from the highest, and then players can just play that. I think that would be a really, really interesting concept, and I think it keeps the game fresh. It keeps the challenge fresh instead of storming and stomping through all the things. Because I think the biggest problem with Genshin, not that I've ever played Genshin in my life, but I think the biggest problem with Genshin, from what my community say, is there's no endgame content, and the moment you finish Abyss and that's it, you're done. But I'm really, really confident with the direction that Honkai Star is going with regards to MOC difficulty. Yeah.
Really quick, because both you and Destiny said this. You really think we shouldn't get more rewards for being able to like beat it?
No, the thing is, if they give more rewards, it's gonna piss off a lot of casuals, and I think
Yeah.
MiHoYo's biggest demographic is casuals, and they wouldn't want to do that.
Mhm.
So from a business,
Even-
from a corporate
it-
perspective, I don't think they
it
would want to do that.
corporate-
Yeah.
even to double down on that, a lot of the free to play players, which is I still don't understand it, but they do it. They have a strong mentality that like I have to do this thing to get these Jades. The Jades could be 10. The thing could literally give you 10 extra Jades, and they feel like they're forced to do
That's
it because they want the Jades. It's a sickness if you like want to keep it a buck, but you don't have to do that. You could easily just like not do it, which goes into like, oh yeah, well if you were to use the debuffs, right? You know, whatever. I think the rewards they give you should purely be character resources. Because realistically, we don't need the Jades once we breach, let's say like MOC 10, right? Or even 12. We want resources to build these characters, to be able to play more teams, to be able to test these things out. Who can I do this with? Oh, this would be cool if I brought Welt and Sushan, you know, or like original Don Hung and then Welt, things like that. I would love if they gave us resources instead of actual Jades. Now, if you added some Jades in there, am I going to complain? No. But I know that that's going to bring more vitriol from the free to play audience who desperately want Jades. Like they have to get Jades no matter what. And then they'll complain about it. They'll say like that's when you get the whole like we didn't want end game. This is bad for the player base. Nobody can beat this. And then when in reality, it's not that nobody can beat it; it's that they can't beat it.
The only thing that I just don't see, well, that's why I asked the question. I was like, why shouldn't we get rewards? Because the way I see it, because the same thing happens in Honkai Impact where we have ranks, and of course, if you're at the number 1 rank, right, you're where the you're where the whales are at, and with all the people that have played since day one, that have been grinding since day one are at. they get only like 10 to 15 or 20 extra gems versus someone who's in a lower rank that's in the free to play / small spender rank. And like, in my honest opinion, I feel like those extra small bit of rewards, it really doesn't add up in value versus someone that's free to play in their rank. Because if someone's earning 15 extra jades in the whale rank, those 15 jades aren't doing anything. We're still gonna spend like $400, $300 every banner. Those 15 jades aren't gonna do anything. So why not have those there if it's like in relative to me spending the money I always do every banner, having 15 jades that you're not gonna get because you can't clear it. I feel like that shouldn't be a problem.
Why'd all of you magically get quiet?
Facts. That's what I'm trying to figure.
I think it's not a problem if you're looking at it once again from a sensible perspective. But most of them, excuse me, most of them are not looking at this from a sensible perspective. They're not looking at it from like generally the concept that I don't need to do this. It's okay. Everything is not tailor made for me. I don't need to do this just because they put it in the game. Like some of the events I skip.
God, that's crazy though.
No, I don't need them.
You,
Like,
you
as
just
much as
said
I would
you
love the
wanted resources though.
I do. And as much as I would love the resources, some of them genuinely piss me off. Like some of these events are just so boring or so dumb or so time consuming. I'm not gonna waste my time doing this when I could go do anything else that I could enjoy. So I don't do it. Or for like use Elden Ring, right? There's a lot of people who can't beat Melania or they can't beat the bosses in Dark Souls unless you desperately want to beat it and you're understanding why you're losing and you're trying to get better. Cool, like do that. But if you're not doing those things, just stop. Don't play the game. You don't have to. You don't have to force yourself to beat it because what? Like Twitch told you to. That's not how that works. It's the same thing with Starro. If you can't beat MOC 14, I don't fucking know. What do you gain from beating it? Accomplishment? Then work to get better at that. But that concept doesn't exist if you're gonna complain or moan or bitch or whatever that like, oh, it's pay to win, it's pay to win. Well, yeah, it's strong as shit. The whole purpose was to present a challenge for the players who were easily clearing MOC 10. If it took you a year and a half just to get to the point where you could 3-star MOC 10 compared to other players like us who have been doing this since we basically got access to MOC 10, we're not on the same caliber. The way that we can construct teams or build teams, the assortment of characters that we have available to us and how much we have built compared to the average free to play player, you're not on that same branch. So it shouldn't be expected of you to get to that point as easily as you see someone else do. And it's really just FOMO. It's a prey on FOMO. But it's not the fault of Hoyoverse that FOMO exists in a situation like that. So I would love Jades and character resources, bottom line. But I also don't want to see 99 Reddit threads about how somebody can't beat MOC 10 or 14 or 15 or 12 because they didn't pull the last limited character. And that's the reason they can't beat MOC. When in reality, that's not the reason. Because me, and this just, I mean, you guys know me. I'm gonna tell you it's your fault because you didn't build the character right. You didn't get their light cone. You wanted to pull every single character in the game. Your characters aren't built up properly. Like if you go through and look at somebody's account because they can't beat whatever, and you see why they can't beat it, they have 2 Himikos, they got 2 Welts, they lost to 50-50 on every banner that they pulled on. So they only have Luocha, they only have Fushwin, and then maybe they have Topaz and Jing Yuan. I don't know. And they can't properly construct these teams. They're missing so many different units, so many different builds. Oh, well, instead of getting Jing Yuan's light cone plus Jing Yuan, I got Jing Yuan and Luocha and Zila and whoever else came out after her. Why? Like you didn't even finish building your Jing Yuan. He's still level 62. What you didn't finish. Oh, I don't have the battle pass light cone either. What are you rocking with? Oh, I'm rocking with the 3-star cornucopia. I don't fucking know. Why? Because I'm free to play. And I never pull on the light cone banner. So like I only have the options available to me that are 100% free. Just pull on the light cone banner, bro. Just go get geniuses.
No.
No, I don't think. No, I don't think you need to like. I don't think it's necessary to pull on the Lycone banner at all.
Okay,
Bro,
realistically
there's
speaking,
always an alternative.
no. Think about it this way, because I had to look at my own free to play account and then compare it to somebody else's who's been playing the game for a long time, or like as long as that free to play account was existing. Where else do you get light cones? How many free to play light cones do they give you that are just as powerful as the ones we recommend? outside of the Herta shop, every single light cone that we usually recommend is not 100% free to play. You at some point you had to have pulled it, and it's not guaranteed for you to get it through a character banner. You can't get it from an event unless it's an event light cone. So it's like some point you would want to pull on the light cone banner. Like if they were giving away Dance Dance Dance, right? On Dr. Ratio's banner, and nobody wants to pull on Dr. Ratio's light cone, but they got Dr. Ratio. I don't know. You're pulling on that light cone banner because Dance 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 is a very powerful light cone. We talk about it in every single guide. Every time somebody mentions Ting Yun, Dance Dance Dance, right? Why would you not take the opportunity to get that light cone? And so you have people that I've observed who 100% just don't touch the light cone banner. They're adamantly against the light cone banner. Meanwhile, their light cones options are 3-star light cones that aren't even maxed out. Like you're rocking with the barest of bare bones because you want to be free to play, and like you think you think the banner is a scam, but that would significantly improve your account. Like getting more characters doesn't auto improve your account if your characters can't do the damage that they're supposed to be doing. You can't even spare a light cone on them because you don't have extra light cones to give them. You don't have superimpositions of stuff. You know how many comments we get? Is S1 secret vow strong enough to work on insert destructing character here? Nah, bro, you need at least S3. Damn it, I don't have that. How do I get more? Are they gonna give us an event for secret vow? Just pull on the banner, bro. It's literally on the banner right now. Just pull it. You either get her light cone that you're looking for, or you get more copies of secret vow. You don't lose in this scenario. But I want to save my free to play gems for the next character that I'm not gonna build, but I want them. Okay. There's too many. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say I think there's like some points that are like yes, like yeah, the in terms of like, you know, pulling characters you're not gonna build, pulling for things that don't match as a free to play, that like that, yeah, that's a problem. But I don't think necessarily the just pull on the light cone point kind of like stands, because through them getting their characters that they actually want, you're eventually gonna get the light cones that you want from the character banner. You know, eventually. So I don't think it's
How long is eventually, and how can you dictate that? Like, how do you guarantee eventually?
well, there is no like you don't get
know,
to
right?
guarantee. Yeah, but like that's the same thing with the light cone banner. You're not guaranteed to get, let's say, Dance
your
Dance
chance-
Dance, but
Your chances are significantly increased. No,
they are. But at the same time, it's all in the chance of luck. Like you could get super unlucky and just like pull the same abundance light cone when you've been trying to snipe Dance Dance Dance.
yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't say keep pulling on it if you're getting boned, but I'm also not gonna advocate for somebody to not pull on it either. In the event that obviously that's what they need, or it would significantly help them out, something like that.
Yeah, I just think that like most points that I think are fine. It's just that when you're like, oh yeah, just summon on the light cone banner.
It helps you out, bro.
I think the better point to take from that is to not treat the weapon banner as a scam. It's because depending on the actual banner itself, whether it be the 5-star light cone or the 4-star light cones that are associated with it, that some of these light cone banners are pretty good. I don't remember which one exactly it was. Maybe it was the Jing Liu banner. It was like God tier, so I don't remember. It was one of the banners where it was like the 4 stars were all goated, the 5-star was really good. It was universal. I forgot which banner it was, but in those situations, yes, you should probably pull on it if you can. But not treat every weapon banner, even if they're goated, like, oh, I can't summon on it because it's a weapon banner. I think that's the better way to say what you were trying to go with what your points were, right? Just to not treat it like it's like, you know, Voldemort. Like you say, oh, I'm a summon on the weapon banner, and you instantly, like, for some reason lose all your J's just for saying the weapon banner or something like that.
That's how they treat it, man.
I think that's the better way to say what you were trying to explain.
Like, damn, I summoned on the weapon banner. Or like, yeah, what happened? I lost everything. What do you mean by that? Like, how did you lose everything, bro?
I pulled the same abundance light cone.
They took it all from me.
It'd be like
I'll
that.
never get it back.
But I think, other than if anyone else has anything to say in regards to a topic or anything coming up before we wrap this up, Destiny?
No.
Io?
No, I feel like we carried that pretty well.
Pokey?
We good.
All right. So other than that, that is this episode for version 1.5. Hopefully, I'm begging that I actually can get the Ruin May one out. When she ends up releasing, we'll do our podcast then. Same thing for Dr. Ratio and whatever else happens. I hopefully don't have to condense it all into one podcast. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. It was nice talking to all of these creators here, and hopefully we can get some guest stars into the next podcast as well. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.
Yo, what is up, guys? Grim here.
Yo, what's up, guys?
At the end.